and the Raiders did.
Welcome, everybody, to Uncovered, the Raiders Unrivaled. I am Biggs. He is Raider Damas. I am the Emperor of Aidenstan. I decided, and we're live. We're live, baby. We got a great show. We're going to go over the depth chart. You might have seen the slide that was up on the screen just for a second before I was like, oh no, I got to take it off because what if I reveal something? And real quick, I just want to give a shout out to our pals over at Underdog Fantasy, where you can go play best ball drafts and other stuff like make prop bets and stuff like that. Use the code Undroppable. But here's the deal. So I went over and I had my Underdog account, and I had never done a deposit before. So my first time match, I put in $100. They gave me $100, and I made a really stupid bet. I bet like a seven pick thing, and because it was $100 bet, I was going to win like $850 or something like that, and it didn't come through. But then yesterday, I did another. It was a 5 pick, and it hit, and I won $110, which I immediately pulled out, and now I have $85 in credits for the leagues and the pick'em games and stuff like that, and I made $10 on top of the 100 that I had put in already. So I'm ahead. Thank you, Underdog. Your results may be different. You might put in $100, get $100 match, and then lose all 200. That happens because it's literally wagering money for fortune telling. But I encourage you all, go to Underdog Fantasy, play all the games they have, put in $100, up to $100 they'll match for your first time. And so that's a good way to lead off the show.
You know what they say is that most gamblers quit right before they win the big one.
Right, but I'm not quitting. Let's get the show started real quick, and then Rafucho is here. Right. We will get the show started real quick, and then Raider Damas has something that he wants to talk about.
I do.
Coming to you live from beautiful Davis, California. Well, that's where I'm at. No, I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm at Allegiant Stadium.
That's right. I can see it behind you.
Northern California, where it's hot and windy, just like my dog today. I'm in a cloud of hot dog smell. Thanks, buddy. Welcome to the Uncovered Raiders Unrivaled. I am Biggs. Like I said, Raider Damas is here. El Capitan Rafucho is in the house. We got a huge show. We're going to talk about every Raider that's on the depth chart over at our lads. As time permits, we might go through the offense and just talk so much that, an hour or two has passed and we're like, you know what, let's call it, and then do the defense next week. With that in mind, we will not be here next week. I am in the process of shifting the show from Thursday nights to Tuesday nights because of other obligations on other channels, and which technically they won't even come in until the end of the beginning of the season. But we will be moving to 8:00 on Tuesday nights. No show next week. The following Tuesday we will be back, and I'll tweet it out and everything. But without further ado, Raider Damas, what's on your mind, man?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I want to give a shout out first and foremost to the greatest baseball player of all freaking time,
Barry Bonds.
Willie Mays, Barry Bonds' godfather, who turned 93 years old this week. God bless you, Willie Mays. Willie. We love you. So God bless us that we still have that man on this earth. He's the greatest of all time.
I got a Willie Mays signed baseball right behind my screen here.
Well, blessings on you for that. The second thing I want to say, when I was growing up, I listened to a lot of sports talk radio. It sort of influenced my voice, as it were. And one of the guys I listened to a lot was Jim Rome. Now,
Ralph Barbier.
Jim Rome is a lot like me. He's a loudmouth. He's very opinionated. He can be kind of a dick sometimes, and I understand that. But the thing about Jim Rome is that his show had only two rules for callers. Those were have a take and do not suck. Now, yep. I spent the better part of the last 2 weeks listening to all these content creators for various teams and various broadcast networks on YouTube and whatever channel they were on talking about the draft. And I cannot tell you how many times I heard the phrase from teams' content creators, well, I don't watch a lot of college football, but, and then they go on to talk about the draft for 30 minutes. Well, guess what, Chico? If you don't watch college football, first of all, what the hell do you do on Saturdays during football season? Secondly, why are you talking about the draft? You don't have a take and you suck. Anybody who doesn't watch college football has zero business talking about the draft in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. They need to have a take about something else. And if you need to fill time talking about the draft, bring on someone who does watch college football or someone involved in one of these teams for one of the players that your team picked and talk to them, interview them. Don't talk about it yourself because you have absolutely nothing to say. That really pissed me off. I didn't talk about Quinyon Mitchell one time during this entire draft season because I never watched him play. I can tell you this, though, during the Senior Bowl, he got absolutely torched by our man Dylan Laube, so I'm pretty excited about that. But I watch a lot of college football, and I talk a lot about the guys I actually watch, and more people should do just that. And that's all I got to say.
You weren't watching where is he from? Toledo?
I didn't watch a lot of Toledo games, and I'll guarantee you a lot of people who talk about Quinyon Mitchell didn't watch many Toledo games this year either.
Well, I talked about him, but I never watched Toledo. I only talked about him because I talked about things that were said by people that watch him.
Right, but that's not a take. That's you repeating what other people have said.
Okay. That's true. It's not a take. And I didn't suck. So we're good.
You never suck. Neither does Mr. Refucho here, who's incredibly charismatic, and his show is always very exciting. And we love to be on it, and we love to have you here with us as well.
What's up, Capitan Rafucho? What's up, Raf? Tell everybody where they can find you.
All right, so social media on YouTube, El Capitan Rafucho. I'm on my way to 1K subscribers, and then I'm just gotta do a lot of things to do because what you're talking about for college football, Ray Adamus is just hitting the nail right now. Because if you don't watch college football, why the heck are you doing right now? Because it's not only about for the highlights. You have film study because right now, if you're going to watch college football, you got to watch it. You got to see breaking down by any player, no matter if it's the defense, offense, wide receiver, quarterback. You had to understand. I know 3 hours is going to be so long, but you had to understand about for the passion of the game and, of course, the athlete breakdown going out for anything. I mean, it's not only about for the highlights. It's about for the film study about it because right now I had to take in notes about for the player, about for the weakness, about for the greatness. I mean, the pros and cons for the English college football player right now. But I got to tell you for this one, because if you're going to earn like the respect of all these content creators right now, I just wanted to tell you, learn about for the college football because before the draft, you had to take notes of any player about for the offense and the defense. I mean, there's some uncut gems. I mean, there's underrated, but also there's overrated. So you had to do about for break it down any player and what is going to happen for the defense or the offense. Because if you're not taking any notes, or you're talking about anything about for the football, because first and foremost, you had to be very informed about for the college football and, of course, for another leagues, break it down for all those players.
And I will tell you the best way to do it. They're not a sponsor, but get YouTube TV. Mm-hmm. It's the best TV app, service, whatever. I was a DirecTV disciple for 20 years, and they went to crap, and YouTube TV absolutely took over. And their DVR system, their cloud is basically unlimited. So I just go into NCAA football and I click on the thing and it adds every single game that's televised on YouTube TV on all of the channels that they have, all the ESPN, CBS, ABC, all of the sports channels, whatever. They all go into my DVR and I sit there on Saturday and I just watch game after game, no commercials. It doesn't take me 3 hours to watch a game because I watch them by fast forwarding through the commercials, and I digest a ton of college football content because it makes my heart feel good, because it feeds my soul, because I love college football that much. And I still never watched a Toledo game. But yeah, that's the best way to do it. Let me jump in real quick. If you saw the beginning, I was extolling the virtues of underdog fantasy and telling you all how I came up a little bit today. I am right now. I'm picking in a best ball draft, so I want you guys to help me. We'll get in the comments. First of all, let's get some shout outs. Daniel Barry says, happy Thursday, everyone. Hey, Daniel, we're moving to Tuesdays, 8 o'clock in 2 weeks. So hope to see you there too. It's going really well. And then NorCal Raider Jesse, salute Raph, salute the panel, and salute Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. All right. So help me out with this pick real quick. Okay. I already have in my team, I didn't take a quarterback. All right. I have Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, George Pickens, Ladd McConkey, Mark Andrews. It's my pick now. I won't have another pick for 20-something picks. So I'm looking at Rashee Rice, Brian Thomas, Keon Coleman, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Watson, Tony Pollard, Raheem Mostert, Jonathan Brooks, Jalen Warren, Zach Moss, Caleb Williams, and then Brock Purdy. I don't have a quarterback. Curtis Samuel, who's going to go off in Buffalo because Keon Coleman sucks. I don't need a running back because it's best ball, and I don't need to take one later. Jaden Daniels is still there. I'm leaning Jaden Daniels. Caleb Williams, Brock Purdy, Jaden Daniels. What do you guys think? Who should I pick?
If it were me, if it were my team, I would take a Hail Mary and go for Caleb Williams. He has a really good set of receivers. I think the offense is going to be tailored for him. And I think he has a better shot than the others to put up a top 10 fantasy line.
Everybody, go ahead and comment real quick. Who should I be taking right now with this pick in my underdog fantasy draft? Raph, what do you think?
I mean, when it comes to the fantasy, I mean, you're going to take it over Caleb Williams because I know this being like overrated and you're going to take a lot of favoritism. But when it comes to the fantasy football, you have to take it the most available. And of course, not that we have right now because almost for the fantasy football leagues, they just wanted to like the best of the best and number one about it. But I think it should go for the Taylor. I mean, it's gonna be good enough about this right now, but I would choose like the rookie Tariq Taylor because right now it would seem like it all depends for the defense. It all depends for the fantasy points. I mean, it could have happened a lot of this time because it's not gonna let it happen for the hype right now. Because right now, the most important I see for Tariq Taylor is gonna be like at a number one spot right now because everybody take it to the Caleb Williams. It's not gonna happen. So I would tell you this. Tory Taylor will have this spot. It is not going to let it is going to right now. So, yes, I'm going to say that Taylor over Caleb Williams.
I don't know who Taylor is.
Tory Taylor for the Bears punter.
Oh, we're not doing punters. It's just quarterback, wide receiver, running back, tight end. But you did make a great point that I'm thinking about. And Raider Damas made a great point too. Caleb Williams, off the charts profile. But Jaden Daniels, in that Washington system, he had an historic year last year. We were all pining for him as our quarterback. So basically what it's coming down to is, do I want Jaden Daniels, Brock Purdy, or Caleb Williams? Brock Purdy has the safest floor. Jaden Daniels has the rushing upside, and it's best ball, so we're talking about spike weeks.
Well, I think if we're doing best ball, there's no reason you can't get all the above with all the three quarterbacks.
They'll probably be gone, but I'm going to be able to get like a Jared Goff later. I can stack Kirk Cousins. I can stack Russell Wilson. All right, I'm gonna take Caleb Williams. I'm gonna go based on Raider Damas. Raider Damas is your team too. God damn it.
All right.
That means if I win, you'll get a slice of my whatever the
Yeah.
$60 or whatever. All right, let's roll, you guys. All right, we're here to talk about the Raiders, not my stupid underdog draft. But go to underdog, sign up. They'll match up to $100 on your first. We're here to talk about the Raiders, so let's get into it. Okay. The new era begins, of course. Love the jacket, Raider Damas.
Oh man, it is so clean. I gotta get me one of those. It looks like the one that they gave Antonio Pierce on the a talk show he went on to with Channing Crowder, and they gave him one that looks just like that. He put it on, and he looked like $1 million. And Brock does here too as well. I have to get one like that and wear it around town, and I just got a preen, like a peacock, or walking around a zoo.
Now, when I see Brock, I think $12.99. That's the cost of a large Pizza Guy's pepperoni pizza, which is what I made that Brock Bowers ate. Okay,
we're only going to hear that story 500 times over the course of
every episode. I swear to God, every time he scores a touchdown. Also, Michael Mayer. I watched him score a touchdown in college. The only tight end I've ever seen do that, and Zeus. But you like what I did there with the dichotomy in the slide of Brock and Mayer in the same.
Absolutely.
They're there together because they're going to win a Super Bowl together. All right. Absolutely. So let's get into this. Let's talk about the quarterback situation. All right. We got Carter Bradley, son of Gus Bradley, former defensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders and Raider legend, Anthony Brown Jr., who not many people have seen play. Including myself, but I do know that
I have seen him play because he was an Oregon Duck for a year, possibly two, and I have seen him play, and that makes me believe he won't be a part of this team for very much longer.
Yeah, they're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks, but for now, and then Aiden O'Connell, who Emperor of Aidenstan is me. He is my guy, and then we've got Gardner Minshew. Okay, so basically what I did was I went over to ourlads.com, which I have found over the years to be the best source for depth charts, other than Raiders.com, because that's where you But Ourlads does a good job. Since I cover so much football and not just one, it's easy. I got a show tomorrow night that I'm talking about depth charts, and so I was over there. And I have, 15 depth charts that I'm looking at. So as a comprehensive tool, Ourlads is good. As a Raiders fan, go to Raiders.com. Look at the depth chart there. Anyway, Gardner Minshew is listed as the starting quarterback. I disagree vehemently and unequivocally. I think Aiden O'Connell wins the job. What do you guys think about the quarterback depth chart? It doesn't look so bad after we already, we're looking at Jordan Travis, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. Those were kind of not even Bo Nix, but or Michael Penix. Our option in the draft was Jordan Travis, Spencer Rattler, Michael Pratt. Not really anything that gets you excited. This doesn't get me excited either. But I mean, hey, the Ravens won a Super Bowl with less than this. So what do you guys think about this quarterback room?
I'll let you go first. You go ahead.
I mean, the quarterback room is going to be so loaded, but some people, they just wanted to stick it about for Gardner Minshew as a starter, which I don't agree about that because he's very mobile, and he got a job the last year because of injury, and that was really hard to have the starter right now. But he may have to trade it for nothing, like a not contended team, so I would get it like at a Pines up the lineup. But if you're gonna talk it about for language at the clipboard holders in the recent years, you got Drew Lock, Joe Flacco, Taylor, Jimmy Garoppolo, and all of the competing hires for the starters when I get injured. I mean, he got a job last year because of injury, and this is where the hard to protect about it. Also, there's a possibility. I mean, it's not going to be a care about who's bigger name or better, and you have to earn that role. That makes you more than lead right now because they just want the quarterback to be a leader on the team. I mean, he doesn't get it very long, but I really thought because he won't bear injury. but I don't think that's the race is gonna be like at the starter. So I will tell you for this one, Aiden Connor is gonna be start earning that job because after we just saw for like the preseason and some of the regular games after they just dropped up Jimmy Garoppolo, I understand because he get like a lot of chance, and I think this time is gonna be like an opportunity. So Gardner Minshew is still like I don't know about that, but even though that he's very mobile, but I think one of those one of those issues he doesn't have like a stand up that make it easy to leading us to the playoffs after year. But I really want to get like the starting job, but also he wants like the best quarterback to win the job. But it seems like the clean cut starter when it comes to the semi for the Pans right now. But I mean, it's gonna be like it exactly until the season starts. It's gonna be like a long enough season, but I think what's gonna happen. The best quarterback out of it is gonna be that starter. But
Yes.
two player but has capable to being like the starter, which personality wise is not the opportunity to back up. But I think it's gonna be competitive from the spot that it's gonna be like a lot of improvement for the last season as much anyway. So I would rather to Eden O'Connor to start over Gardner Minshew. So I would tell this quarterback one, Eden O'Connor, quarterback number two, Gardner Minshew.
Well, I'm going to jump in here real quick, and then I'm going to give Raider Damas the entire runway to land this shit. Gardner Minshew has created a career out of A, a great mustache, but Aiden's trying, and B, being a backup quarterback. He was a backup in Jacksonville. He was a backup in Indy. I'm going to flag plant that Aiden O'Connell, who Antonio Pierce said is going to compete for the job. Essentially, what he said in coach speak is it's Aiden's job to lose. And also, Telesco didn't go out and get somebody, and I cannot fathom the idea that Tom Telesco thinks that Gardner Minshew is the guy to go with. On top of all that, and shout out real quick to Tony Shepard, top 10 offense, top
All right,
5
so-
defense, and that's all it takes. You got the defense is going to be on fucking point, and we do need 2 quarterbacks in the NFL. We have 4. I mean, if you look at the slide, Tony, we have 4 quarterbacks. They all have names, and they have all thrown a pass in their life before, as all of us probably have. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it's Aiden O'Connell. He is going to be the starter day one, and that's those are the reasons why. A, Gardner Minshew is a career backup. B, Aiden O'Connell, younger, not by much, mustache growing in, and Antonio Pierce loves the guy. Tom Telesco can't believe that Gardner Minshew is a starter in the NFL. Otherwise, he would have done more in the draft. Go Raider Damas.
All right. What I see here, honestly, is it's a little disheartening because the worst case scenario of what I see is that Aiden O'Connell wins the job and basically turns into a guy who's too good to replace, but not good enough to win. And that is a reasonable thing to expect. The best case scenario, obviously, is Aiden O'Connell turns into prime Drew Brees and leads us to the promised land. But a more likely scenario is that Aiden O'Connell wins the job at some point during this year, whether after week 3 of the preseason or halfway through the regular season when Minshew shows he can't get it done. And Aiden O'Connell leads us to the playoffs and loses in the first round because he's not that guy. You know who else is not that guy? Derek Carr wasn't that guy. Kirk Cousins isn't that guy. Phillip Rivers isn't that guy. Ryan Tannehill isn't that guy. There's about 10 guys in this world right now on the face of the planet who are that guy. And honestly, there's only one because you're going to have to face Patrick Mahomes at some point, and you're probably going to lose to him, even if you are that guy. So
Aiden O'Connell won, and O'Connell beat him.
He did, but he didn't beat him in the playoffs. He beat him on Christmas Day in a snowstorm. Now, that is a reasonable thing that can happen in the playoffs, especially in an outdoor stadium. But I don't think that's a sort of thing he can do consistently, 8 times out of 10 like you would need. What really needs to happen here is that the Raiders have to grow some balls, figure out that these guys either are the guy or aren't the guy, and they're going to have 1 year this year to prove that, or freaking Drew Aller from Penn State or Cam Ward from Miami is our quarterback next year. And honestly, that would be a better option than any of this that I see right now.
I'm leaning Jackson Dart from Mississippi State. I'm going to. I lied. I said I was going to give you the entire runway. I'm going to put a period on the end of this sentence. and I forgot, I forgot what I was going to say because you brought up Jackson Dart. Let's not forget Jim Plunkett was shit. Jim Plunkett was a terrible, terrible quarterback. Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew are both better than Jim Plunkett was. Jim Plunkett, in my heart, is a Hall of Famer, and he won a Super Bowl. So Aiden O'Connell can win a Super Bowl. Two, right, 81 and 84. Right. The point stands. He was garbage, and Aiden O'Connell is already better than Jim Plunkett was.
Well, my hope is Aiden O'Connell, comes in and blows Minshew away, turns into prime Tom Brady, prime Drew Brees, and we don't even need to look at a quarterback for the next 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
That is best case scenario, and God willing, that's exactly what happens. But if not, we have some options.
Better draft capital than Tom Brady. I don't know if any of you watched the roast. It was amazing. All right. Now let's talk about the wide receivers. All right. We got Ramel Caton, Tyreek McAllister, Christian Wilkinson, DJ Turner, new free agent signing, and former Tom Telesco guy, Jalen Guyton, Michael Gallup, career resurrection, maybe. Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers, and Devontae Adams are 1, 2, and 3. I like our wide receiver room. I like what Jalen Guyton does with our defensive backs. I think they're going to have to iron sharpens iron. And in practice squad, in training camp, they're going to need to be able to cover Jalen Guyton. Michael Gallup, he's a crafty veteran. Kind of the same thing. I think one of those two is going to be able to work with Trey Tucker and turn him into a legit wide receiver. Jacoby Myers is, of course, Jacoby Myers, and Devontae is going to get 150-plus targets. Love it. Whoever our quarterback is, I mean, you're looking at a wide receiver group right there that you'd love to throw the ball to. What do you guys think?
I think Michael Gallup is 100% washed. I don't think he's going to do much of anything. I think Guyton is a guy that didn't get a lot of play in Chargers team, which needed wide receiver help and couldn't rely on him. I think Ramel Caton showed enough at Tennessee where I think he's one of the UDFAs who's going to make this team. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lydiatric Tulu Griffin makes the team either. I think we're going to see a lot of really, really young players on this wide receiving core. The top three there could be the best top three in the NFL if they play up to their potential. Beyond that, I think everyone is more or less fungible, and I think that's why the rookies make the team.
I do apologize. My cursor was covering Jeff Foreman and Tulu Griffin. I didn't mean to leave you guys out. We still love you guys. Raiders legends for life. And Tony Shefford asks, well, first of all, Tony says camp competition everywhere. Absolutely. That's what the summer's all about. And also figure we keep 6 wide receivers. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think from DJ, unless we'll see somebody
keep 6.
We'll see somebody win a job. It's not going to be in this order, but I think after Trey Tucker, I think any of these guys will make up those 6. Rafa, what do you think about the wide receiver room?
I mean, for the wide receiver room, I mean, including for all of the positions right now, I mean, for Gallup, it will likely like the wide receiver number 3. It should be opening up for way more looks than Trey Tucker. That is not even considered like anything with other players. I feel like people underselling the talent. They were just having those skill groups in that year. And what are the receivers is trying to go out like a 150 or 3,000 any given Sunday? I mean, look at the roster right now. I mean, they should give it like the offense plenty of avenues to work through a lot. And building up for solid on speed, I mean, it's very great at all because they had a great duo, which is Devontae, Jacoby Myers. I mean, and that room was basically a solely on speed. I mean, they still cannot be like at a speed corner. And I'm going to tell you, Devontae Adams is still like the dog. But we want to try to figure it out about for a room that are full of tall guys and, of course, in base for speed. And speed is not like the end of the wide receiver play. They won't give like separational short routes and speed alone. and they're gonna get without getting smacked just like with DP. But at least in those one of those things that we're gonna figure it out because the wide receiver that I just wanted to look at because the wide receiver number one is gonna be Devontae Adams as usual because he got a great speed, intensity. Also, Trey Tucker is gonna be the wide receiver number two, Michael Gallup as three. But we had to figure it out for the six wide receivers. I mean, they're gonna figure it out because it's gonna be based on speed, intensity, and mentality because that's one of the only traits that matters, especially for across the rows where they have multiple guys pulling away for the defense. I mean, it's going to be net abilities and the X factor is one of the another things that are to see about for the speed and the short routes. I mean, get around for the run play. I mean, it's going to be reliable, but ridiculously good because it doesn't hurt either.
Right. Well, one thing that I've been kind of thinking of, and I love Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is absolutely an elite wide receiver in the NFL. But one of the things that we saw in the last 2 years that we haven't really seen a whole lot out of Devontae Adams over the course of his career is the concussions that he suffered over the last couple of years. Is there a possibility that Devontae Adams is getting to an age where those people are like the defensive backs on opposing teams are kind of targeting him, and as a result, he is sustaining more concussion? Like, what does his longevity look like? I'm not debating that he's the wide receiver one on this team. I'm just debating, can he stay on the field for 17 games? There's a reason that Jerry Rice, Art Monk, those guys were kind of unicorns in terms of how long they lasted. They played like well into their 30s, Jerry Rice into his 40s. Mm-hmm. Devontae Adams is a little bit over 30. Is the game starting to is the contact starting to catch up with him? Do you think he's maybe not losing a step because he was never like a speed burner to begin with? He always relied on his ability to run routes and everything. But is there a possibility that Devontae Adams might be getting to the point where because of what defensive backs are able to do to him now that they weren't 3 or 4 years ago, concussions are going to catch up to him?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's going to be like at a target, but I mean, it's so easy because it ended up like at a time because right now we just see once we got for the X factor ability, he was like an unstoppable. They always get up in the rules right that are where they're breaking it down for 1-2 tackles pretty often. But especially to return the ability, I mean, it's going to happen a lot because the short route, I mean, the run play is going to be so impressive. I mean, those the best ones with high speed and high change of the direction. I mean, we're just getting better for a lot of things going to go for the right receiver room. I mean, the currently because right now it's going to be they need to compete someone to compete for the starting spot. And I know it's going to be a lot of the crazy, but it was like the surprise for last season was doing a bit. I know there's going to be like this year of run, but I think that the wide receiver room, especially because they need something about for more than unknown, but I really like it because right now it seems like there's a lot of going up for the battle, but it seems like absolutely the probably most solid unit on that one. So there's no necessary header to go to see like to cut it up because when it goes for when it comes to like the draft, absolutely header the most units only on the team. Because why did they go for this? How about the call for the meltdown? It's not gonna happen with this one because I know it's gonna be like an approval a deal or short deal, but everyone's got it upon right because who things like up it himself, they kind of up with a play out for the slot, and I'll get the better rule because it won't be like a dispenser, it won't be like a short, but I think the speed is gonna be like the X factor at the wide receiver room, and that's what I gotta look at anybody.
Right. And I mean, to the point, he's the wide receiver one. And he has never won based on his ability to like burn down the field or anything like that. Raider Damas,
Yeah. Yeah, I got
Let's
a couple
go.
of things. I got a couple of points here. Number one, Devontae Adams is 31 years old right now. He's not going to be getting better. He's going to slowly, unfortunately, decline. And the Raiders need to think about drafting another elite level wide receiver sooner than later. The second thing is this: this list might as well end after Jacoby Myers, because Luke Getsy last year with the Bears ran 2 tight end sets on first down 23% of the time, and ran
Spoiler alert.
2 tight end sets, the eighth highest rate in the NFL overall on any down.
Mhm.
So if the pass doesn't go to Adams, if it doesn't go to Myers, it's either going to go to Mayer or it's going to go to Bowers. The other guys, there's not going to be that many targets for them. So beyond Myers and beyond Trey Tucker, you're just sort of standing there unless you're going to do 5 wide, and then you're just not going to see that very often. Can you name who was the Bears' number 3 wide receiver last season?
Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney. Well, most people probably wouldn't know about him, and I don't think he was healthy for most of the year either. Luke Getsy just doesn't have an offense tailored to the number 3 and number 4 or number 5 wide receivers at all. If it doesn't go to the number 1 guy, it usually goes to a tight end. That's why we know who Cole Kmet is.
Equanimous St. Brown.
Equanimous St. Brown, the brother of the sun god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And St. Brown, by the way, is not a real last name. Their father made it up.
But their parents' naming rights are on fucking point.
Oh yeah, he's a former Mr. Universe. He's a great man. His kids just have the most insane and awesome names ever.
Also, they went to the University of Spoiled Children, so fuck them. All right, we got some play. Won a lot of catches from the Arby's also. Spoiler alert, we'll get there.
Yes, we
also,
will.
What's up, everyone? Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Hey, I know that guy.
That's
I
me.
know.
Tony Shepard has some confidence in Getsy. Afakasi Raider joins the show. What's up, Afakasi?
There he
How's
is.
How's it going, champion down under?
G'day, mate. Shrimp on the barbie.
No. Sorry, that was racist of me.
Afakasi, I saw you on another podcast like last week. You were on the Monday Mayhem show, and you shouted me out on that show. So I really do appreciate that.
That's nice.
Yes, absolutely. I bring. So first things first. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I'm using my earphones.
Yeah, we're good. I can hear you just fine.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Fantastic.
So,
yeah, I did shut you up. Appreciate it. I appreciate what you passed on to me about the story about the Rolando McClain and Rob Gronkowski. I think it's a very relevant story, especially with the first round draft pick we made this year with Brock Bowers. That hopefully we learned our lessons from years past. Anyway, sorry.
speaking of, and with the great segue about Luke Getsy's offense using tight ends, the 8th most, 2 tight end sets, 12 personnel, the 8th most in the NFL last season. Let's look at the tight ends real quick. I had to skip a slide ahead. Tony Shepard says, Afakasi, I can't, my lady's trying to sleep. I can't do the exclamation points in all caps. Afakasi, what's up, brother? Salute. All right.
Okay.
We got John Samuel Schenker, possibly related to Michael Schenker. Cole Fotheringham, Zach Gentry, Harrison Bryant, Brock Bowers, our newest toy, and Michael Mayer. Let me address Cole Fotheringham real quick. I happened to watch The Rush. You should all be watching that too. Max Crosby and his gaggle of Eastern Michigan folks, and they were talking about Cole Fotheringham being a stud. Cole Fotheringham is a guy. If he can just get a shot in the next few years, he could be like the 5th-year tight end breakout, like old school style. Anyway, Harrison Bryant on the way out, Zach Gentry. What we're here to talk about really is Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers in Luke Getsy's 2 tight end system. I fucking love it. I love it so much. Michael Mayer, one of the second best tight end in the last 5 years in college football, had a little bit of an injury issue last year, didn't get on the field for 17 years. 17 games. He also had to deal with the former regime's fuckery with the lineup. Brock Bowers is the stud we're all talking about, and it's a perfect segue from the wide receivers into Brock Bowers, because Raider Damas brought up the point that after Jacoby Myers, you basically kind of shove it. Trey Tucker's a deep threat. It's going to be the Michael Mayer, Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers show. Trey Tucker's going to get in a little bit. It's going to be fun. Michael Mayer's going to get in a little bit. It's going to be fun. But what do you guys think about the tight ends? Let's start with Afakasi, since he's just jumped in here.
We have a young, very talented tight end room with obviously the pick of Brock Bowers, who should contribute immediately. And the hope is that he pans out to be how he produced in college. Because if he produces like that, we might have a stud for years to come who can carry the legacy that we were hoping with Michael Mayer could still be him too. A guy we drafted in round 2 last year. So I like that we've got 2 guys there. Hopefully one of them can be the breakout guy that we're looking for. I mean, Michael Mayer's his second year. A little underwhelming in his first season, but I don't know. Maybe if we actually utilize these dual tight end sets now that we've got a new offensive coordinator in the door, then hopefully that can be as productive as what we hope it can be. But Brock Bowers, I mean, look, I'm not going to expect the world from him straight away. I'm going to still give him concessions as long as he shows enough in his rookie season to be hopeful for his future. You know what I mean? But there's a lot to like there. Go ahead.
And I will say, friend of the show and guest Kenny King Jr. I had him on my other show, the Fantasy Burn, and
yes,
I asked him for one breakout for 2024 on offense and one for defense. On offense, he said Michael Mayer. This, of course, was 3 months ago, before the Brock Bowers draft pick, which leads into the Raider Damas analysis of 12 personnel from Luke Getsy, them both being on the field at the same time, Brock Bowers working essentially as a wide receiver, and Michael Mayer as the tight end, which doesn't mean that Michael Mayer is going to see a suffering in production, because Brock Bowers could be the wide receiver that we're looking for, just in a tight end body. Go Raider Damas.
Well, the question here is, for Raiders opponents, do you have a safety or a linebacker who can adequately cover an elite tight end? And the next question is, do you have 2 of them? Because if you don't have 2 of them, that means one of these guys is going to be free on every single play. And that's going to be a really, really bad thing for you. Brock Bowers, when he was 19 years old at the University of Georgia, scored 16 touchdowns. That's an absurd number for
in the SEC.
In the SEC, against the best defenses college football can buy. And he won the John Mackey Award twice in a row. This dude averaged over 1 missed tackle per route run, or for ball caught on a route run. I mean, you cannot bring him down. I mean, when I was a kid, one of the big, NFL clips and NFL films used to show was Mark Bavaro for the Giants running down the field with like 3 Philadelphia Eagles hanging on him, and they could not bring the guy down. And that's exactly what Brock Bowers is. He's not, as big as Mark Bavaro was. Mark Bavaro was a giant, literally. But he's that kind of player. You're not going to bring him down with the first guy. You're probably not going to bring him down with the second guy. Nobody's going to bring him down with an arm tackle. The guy has a nose for the end zone. Michael Mayer honestly does too. This, from what I see right here, this is the best tight end room in the NFL, and I don't think it's particularly close. Last year with the Bears, Luke Getsy was running 2 tight end sets successfully with Cole Kmet and the desiccated husk of Mercedes Lewis. He has a much better room to work with right now, and I think he's going to utilize it to great success.
And I don't want to toot my own horn, because you know what they say about people that toot their own horn. But it reminds me of when I played pickup football. I'm a large person. I'm a big boned person, and when I played pickup football, get the ball in my hands, and I would run down the field with guys trying to pull me down, and they couldn't do it. Unfortunately, that didn't play in organized football, so I was a linebacker, not and a fullback, not a tight end. I didn't get the ball a lot. Bowers, 2-time champion. That's not something to be dismissed either. El Capitan Rafucho.
That Bowers was by far the best player on any Georgia team he was ever on.
Lad McConkey might have an issue with that. Same with Zamir White. But, Raph, what do you think about this tight end room?
I mean, what can I tell about this? After the draft that we just drafted Brock Bowers, which is a national championship with Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, what can I say about it? The tight end room is going to be fully loaded. But the question is going to be how Lugetti has used tight ends. I mean, the defense scored more points in the Nets in the last year than Josh Dennis could on purpose. I mean, it seems that Lugetti has never had two talented receiver tight ends before because usually one pass catcher and blockers. I mean, Bowers is a very versatile target that we can line up anywhere. I mean, it's a monster that should have like the quarterbacks taking drop deep consistently. I mean, it reminds me like another version of Hunter Renfro, but he can run like over defensive backups, lineup back tackles. I mean, they just had to being able to pass effectively to run the formations that be pretty helpful. I mean, it looks like a beast, but he does anything. Because if we can make it like the offense with all these weapons, I was really hyped right now. Because before that, Aiden O'Connor just like a smart accurate. I don't care the online has a few weakness, but it should be like a very, very improvised right now because it should be like an easy to rail up into that guy. Because incorporating two talented tight ends into the offense will uncharted territory for Getsy. That makes it like a very difficult to project where the Raiders offense will look at the stage. I mean, the play caller has never had much talent in that position group. So I think it's going to be like the time to embrace the unknown. It doesn't look very promising to catch a ball so much, but having excellent talent is a great problem. But also, it just feel like a two tight end stop, and then what a game hard. But they still had to go for it. But it seems like they see like a lack flexibility. What is going for the Chicago was rarely criticized for not carrying the machines right now. But I really wanted to go to take like a very swing. I mean, you gotta use like an offensive playbook. You have to go for the well for two or three tight ends to work. I mean, most of those people they're still missing the fact that 44% Brock snaps are the tight end. We're not going to rely like at a 12% and two and like in a sense of for Bowers and May on the field. I mean, change your look at the team because we just upgraded Hunter Renfro's slot receiver to can wide up the spots. But even with our experience and lack of talent at the quarterback position, any worse so to be able for the offense that has too many weapons. I mean, it's gonna be like the wild card. He decides it's gonna be the succeeded, but I think it's gonna be like a success because defense won't know what's coming out anymore because we have two talented tight ends. So it's gonna be like expect the unexpected, but it's gonna be like working it out, but they gotta to embrace like what's next for anything.
Absolutely. And to your point, replacing 2022 Hunter Renfro with a guy who will break tackles. Hunter Renfro, third and Renfro, would catch the ball, and to be fair, he's a little guy. He would go down quite often. Brock Bowers is not going to do that. Getsy has never had weapons like this, and that's to Raider Damas's point. Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers, imagine if Mercedes Lewis was Michael Mayer and Cole Kmet was Brock Bowers. Totally changes the whole dynamic of the offense. And what it does to the quarterbacks is, like I've said before, it doesn't matter who's throwing them the ball. As long as that person can get the ball into their hands, they can make the plays, and that's the beauty of Brock Bowers. All right.
I want to say one thing about Bowers before we move on here.
We got two. Go.
Brock Bowers at the Georgia Pro Day had a slightly pulled hamstring and was advised by his coaches not to run or do any drills like the 40-yard dash or anything. So he apologized to all the scouts who were in attendance, and he could have left it there. He could have relied on his tape and said, okay, you guys have seen what I can do. Instead, he held a private workout for those scouts 10 days later and ran a 4.5 40.
Woo!
Wow.
Now, how many tight ends in the NFL run a 4.5 40 right now?
Right.
Maybe one or two. All right. Afakasi, what do you got?
I just wanted to say, like, I agree with all you take. My only thing is that, like, I really like what we have on paper. Don't get me wrong; it should be one of the better tight end groups in the league with our young guys. But at the same time, we got to remember This is still a very young and unproven at the NFL level tight end room. So I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit and say this is the best tight end room what should be in football. Maybe in time, but as it stands at the moment, young, talented, should pan out, but we got to wait and see it how it translates over to the NFL level. And just one last thing with the other guys, with Bryant, Gentry, Fotheringham, and Schenker, it's going to be an interesting battle to see who can take out that third tight end room. I mean, we did bring in Harrison Bryant as a depth guy. Cole Fotheringham, as you said, Max Crosby is very high on him, and he did show some promise last preseason. Is Jesper Horsted still on our roster, or is he gone?
No, he's out.
Okay, so he's not there. A name to maybe pay attention to in preseason, maybe not so much at the tight end spot, but I did notice him at fullback last preseason, was John Schenker. Now, from what I understand, we have moved on from, what's his name? The Yakib Johnson, he's not on our roster anymore?
No.
Right, so Schenker, actually, I paid attention to him playing fullback last preseason, and I thought he did reasonably well. So if we are going to try and have a guy there at fullback, that would be his best chance to make the roster. So something else to keep an eye on in preseason next year. Or this season.
Yeah, I think Cole Fotheringham makes the roster. I think Harrison Bryant is a victim of cuts. The Schenker point is a good one. So this whole thing, I was talking earlier about the depth charts and me perusing these depth charts. And one of the things I noticed, there's this player who plays for the Atlanta Falcons. His name is Tucker Fisk. He's the son of a former Super Bowl champion lineman that played at my high school named Jason Fisk. And I've been following his career, same hometown, Davis, California, everything. Okay. When I look at the Atlanta Falcons depth chart, Tucker is listed as a fullback. One of the things that they're doing with roster fuckery is tight ends can be listed as fullbacks, especially with the depth and the dearth of the fullback position. If you don't have a fullback, swing that tight end in there, line him up that way. It happens all the time in the NFL. One last thing before we move on from tight ends. Afakasi, I got a question for you. Do you think Getsy has a lot of pressure on him to utilize all this talent? Or is it more like time to show off these toys? Thank you to Tony for firing up the comment section.
That's my guy, Tony. Well, look, there's going to be pressure, of course, on him to at least look. Our offense was not as productive as what it should have been, nowhere even close to what it should have been in the last two seasons. So, I mean, look, again, I guess I'm going to give him a chance to show what he can do. Give him a little bit of time to find his feet with the roster. I do expect more productivity out of all of our weapons, not just the tight end room, but I guess we're going to be looking at the tight end room specifically, and like if we're actually going to utilize these dual tight end sets. Because I mean, I brought up this point a few times. It's like, well, that was supposed to be the last regime's MO, and at one point we had Darren Waller and Foster Moreau, at the time one of the better tight end duos in the league, and we never utilized them both on the field at the same time, not to my knowledge, or barely ever. So if this is John Getsy's, what's his name? Luke Getsy?
Luke Getsy.
Luke, if this is what he's known to do, then let's see it happen. I mean, on paper we have two, like I said, young, very talented tight ends in the room. If we utilize it, so be it. Let's see how productive we can be.
Yeah, and I wanted to address what you said earlier about pumping the brakes, and I agree with you, because one of the things that we start to dismiss, but we hammer when it's opponents, is what we're looking at is a brand new offensive coordinator. It's a new system. We've got young guys in that new system. We've got a quarterback controversy, or a quarterback situation to be revealed at a later date. So I absolutely agree. New system. We saw the turnover with offensive coordinators and how that affected Derek Carr's career with the Raiders. There was no consistency. There hasn't been consistency with the Raiders offensive coordinator job for more than 2 or 3 years at a time in the last 10, 15 years. So it all remains to be seen. For some idiot to jump on here and say the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl this year it is kind of a little bit overblown because
Who would say something like that?
I
What
don't
a
know,
total
some
dweeb.
dumbass. But we do need to temper expectations, pump the brakes a little bit. I was like fired up for Josh McDaniels' offense and everything. It just turned out he was an asshole. We know Antonio
Right.
Pierce is a leader of men that's going to change the whole game. So anyway, let's move on. We got the running backs. We got Sincere McCormick, Afakasi favorite. Britton Brown, he gone. Dylan Lobby, he will rise. Amir Abdullah, he's gone to. Alexander Madison, perfect backup running back. He is the Gardner Minshew of running backs. And Zeus, our lead guy, who's going to carry us to the promised land, 1,500 yards, 9 to 12 touchdowns. I'm flag planning it right now. Zamir White's going to be a top 10 running back in the NFL in 2024. What do we think about the running back room? Let's start with El Capitan Raf. Let's go.
I mean, for the running back position, I mean, without Josh Jacobs, I mean, White was like a surprise to the last season. He was doing so well. And I just wanted to recall that we drafted Britton Brown for a few drafts back. Also, we just re-signed Abdullah. About the current running back look, and I mean, how great is going to need for a running back in the draft, which is we just had Dylan Love. I mean, everyone is criticized for the running back class, but there's like another different positions which just happened like that because there's like a two examples, Martian Law, things and Guerrero. I mean, Dale Law was very good because there's like a great running back options down to the board because it seems like because it's getting pretty familiar with Luke Getsy that are just gonna draft the quarterback. I mean, how important is going to be like a stat running back in the NFL those days? I mean, do you need like a Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson back there for a commander like a good enough? I mean, there'll be like enough for a rotational to give it like a break. And I'm very sure that it's going to be like, there's going to be a rookie versus veteran, but there's not like an Eli trade down. It all getting back for the class now to the good situational backs. I mean, not any Jacobs, McCaffrey, or Saquons, but there's like a Monsters, my forward, players just to see for the right situations. But what directions went to that team? Because some of the Telesco interviews where they could anything about for the philosophy of loading up for more towers, having multiple bags to a traditional do without the guy. I mean, Brooks and Benson are a very good prospect. Also now it's a solid power bag. I mean, people did forget about the Georgia Bulldog who had a better college career than Josh Jacobs and any other prospect that come for the started. So they needed to hog it enough for the front, like to clear a path with him. I mean, I hope it's gonna be the fully board starter with him, but I don't know why the people aren't higher on Zeus. Because if they're not gonna watch it on Georgia, he was like a great athlete, but he hasn't performed because he hasn't rated much of the online, hasn't been like it is so great. But I think you're going to address it for the cornerback and, of course, for the running back. I mean, it's going to be a similar but more athletic, so it's not going to be like a common way to be like an oppressment, but they has it used to be because if they're going to play like a very physical stuff for years, this is kind of the catching up. So it's going to be like a really small move. And, of course, they're going to be like in a backfield with getting away for the head edges for defensive coordinators and defensive players. So I would say because they look forward, but it's going to clear started. So it's going to make it like a playing for a passing situation. It will be good to get a lot of to better competitive run down style.
Yeah, and I will say over the last week there were some tweets that were revealed of Josh Jacobs arguing with some people on Twitter, and they were telling him that he wasn't loyal to the Raiders, even though the fans were loyal to him, and he was saying that the fans weren't loyal to him, and the team wasn't either, which tells you everything that you need to know about Zamir White. It wasn't that Josh Jacobs went for the money. It was that the team was confident in Zamir White to take the lead. Afakasi, what do you think?
I'll start off with Zamir. Look, I'm not going to run from the fact that I was a very heavy critique of Zamir White in his first season and a half. You know what I mean? Because up until that point, he hadn't showed me anything, and I was not impressed. And I was very critical up to that point. And I said, look, if he doesn't show by season end that he can at least be a decent starter and can do some things, like show me something, then we're drafting his replacement in this draft. Because I mean, if you haven't shown anything as a running back in your first 2 seasons when you've been given the chance to, then I mean, how long do you need? You know what I mean? Like,
and boom, he showed you
3 seasons, right? Like, I mean, Latavius Murray, Darren McFadden, Josh Jacobs, they all showed it by then. But I'll give Zamir credit. He did, when he did get his opportunity, the last 4 games of last season, he did very well, and he showed that he can play. So I'm going to give him that. Whether he can be the guy to move forward with into the future and that he's going to be consistently a good player, time will tell. He's going to get his chance. But I'm hoping he does emerge as that feature back. As for the rest of the guys, I mean, I got to admit, I'm not as too high on the rest of the guys we have in the room. I'm hoping that some of these guys can emerge and be that feature spellback, not feature back, but spellback, so to say. And it's going to be a hot competition in preseason. I wouldn't necessarily write off Britton Brown. He's a guy I believe missed a golden opportunity to possibly leapfrog Zamir White last preseason, being that I was actually more impressed with Britton Brown in his first preseason than I was with Zamir White. He didn't get that opportunity because he was out injured for the duration of last season. So he's got his chance this year to show his wares if he's back healthy and possibly push for a roster spot, and maybe be that that spellback, so to say, the guy who can rotate in with Zamir. He's going to be competing with Madison, Abdullah. We've drafted that guy Lobby. I'm hoping he can be that. He's a pass catching threat out of the backfield. He did play at a smaller college, so hopefully it can translate to the next level. I don't know what his pass protection is like, but if it's at a good enough level and something he can develop, maybe he can be that Jalen Richard type guy. Because remember, Jalen Richard, to me, the best pass protecting running back that we've had or in the NFL during his time. I mean, name one better. That was something he was really good at. But look, there's a lot of unproven guys in the room. But guys are going to get their chance. I mean, Amir Abdullah, I don't mind, but he's all right. You know,
we know what he
is. Get out of him. We know what he is. He's all right. Can Dylan Lorby be better? Come year one, I don't know. But he's going to get his chance to develop and hone his craft. If he can earn a spot on the final roster, cool. If he still needs time to develop on the practice squad or wherever it may be, so be it. But that's how I see the running room at the moment.
And we start to find out tomorrow when rookie camp begins. What are your thoughts on Sincere McCormick? You said in the show last week that he's one of your favorites. Were you being facetious? Was that tongue in cheek, or were you being sincere?
I'll share my quick take, and then I got a jet because it's
sure.
I got to go pick up that's why I'm here, to pick up my niece. But I was being sarcastic, being that the last 2 years, this is a guy who's been on our roster, an undrafted free agent. I usually don't harp on about these guys because they're undrafted free agents. If they do anything of even if they even crack the final roster, cool. If they don't, they don't. But for me, since there's a guy who's garnered a lot of hype from a lot of people, it's like he's the next coming of Bo Jackson. What has he shown? Absolutely nada. He's had 2 preseasons where last preseason he got quite a few touches, and to me, he was average. I mean, we've had guys in preseason in yesteryears like Chris Warren III and Trey Ragas who showed me a lot more than Sincere McCormick, and they didn't amount to nothing in the NFL. So for me, Sincere McCormick will be lucky to take 1 regular season snap as a Raider. If he doesn't, he doesn't. So I just want him to show me something. I'm going to give him a chance. My tongue-in-cheek, when I was talking about Sincere McCormick, is more directed at people hype him like he's the future coming of Bo Jackson, where I just don't see it.
Well, it speaks a lot when somebody makes your practice squad and doesn't get snatched for 2 years running. Avocasi
Right.
Raider, thank you very much for coming in. Grow your stubble out a little bit, and then talk about going to pick up your niece, and you will be Roy Kent on our channel. That's a Ted Lasso shout out for anybody who watches that amazing show. Avocasi, tell them where to find you, and then skedaddle.
Avocasi Raider, my name is down below. You can type that into YouTube or search for Raiders World Order, and you will find me on the YouTube scene. And I quite like the length of my facial features. Thank you very much. I think it suits my face just fine.
Thank you once again.
Anyways, Biggs, Rafa, and Raider Damas, thanks for having me on. Appreciate you guys. You keep doing your thing, and I'll catch you on the flip side for sure.
Have a good
Tuesday, 2 weeks from now. Have a great night.
You
Or
too.
day, or winter,
It's all right.
whatever.
That works. Have a good evening, my
You
brothers
too.
and sisters from the US. Take care.
All right.
So
All right. There we go. Tony Shepard says, take it easy, Avocasi. Now, I know that there's we got a co-host who's champing at the bit, getting on the running back room. Raider Damas, the floor is yours.
All right. First thing I want to say is this room is going to be absolutely feasting because Luke Getsy loves to pound the rock. He has a very run-oriented offensive scheme. That is one of the benefits of running a 2 tight end set, is you have more blockers up front to block for the running backs. Zamir White is going to be and should be a first-round fantasy draft pick this year. Get him in the top 8. Get him in the top 8 if you can, because this man is going to absolutely bulldoze his way.
You don't need to. He's
1,200 yards.
literally the 32nd ADP.
Well, he needs to be a lot. He needs to be about 20 to 25 spots higher than that, because that's where he's going to finish this year.
Let them all keep him at 32. You
Yeah.
draft him as your RB2, and like I said, he's going to finish as a top 10 running back. Sorry, you
It's
got me
fine.
going. That's what I do all day is fantasy.
I remember when I was playing Madden 20 several years ago. I was doing a franchise, and I got Zamir White drafted to my team, and I think I took him in the 5th round of whatever year he was up, and I just pounded Zamir White for like 5 years. He was like one of the best running backs in the league on my Madden franchise. It was amazing. So I've liked Zamir White for a very, very long time. Before he was ever a Raider, he was a Raider in my heart. Alexander Madison, on the other hand, has shown very definitively he is one of the best backup running backs in the league, but absolutely cannot be the number one guy, cannot tote the rock as the number one option. And that's
He's
fine.
a Tony Pollard.
And that's great. Tony Pollard made a bunch of money doing not a whole lot. And that's fantastic. And Alexander Madison is going to hopefully stick his ass on the bench and make a bajillion dollars for doing nothing. And that's great. Amir Abdullah is completely expendable right now because Dylan Laube last year at New Hampshire not only had over 700 yards rushing, but also had over 600 yards receiving. This guy is Brian
Over
Westbrook.
700 yards.
Yeah.
699.
It was fantastic. And not only that, he was a kick and punt returner averaging 31 yards per return. Now, imagine if the Raiders in the last few years had a competent kick returner. How much better would our offense be with better field position? Quite a
Tom
bit.
Telesco already said that they're going to be like Lobby's going to be the kick returner.
Yeah, as well he should be. Britton Brown, I don't know. I mean, he wasn't ever really a big deal at UCLA. Sincere McCormick, on the other hand, was a very big deal at University of Texas San Antonio. So I hope that he gets healthy and can show what he can do, because I mean he could be what Alexander Madison isn't, and that's the guy who can tote the rock if something bad were to happen to Zamir White, God forbid. I'm just looking forward to what these guys can show in preseason. Like the quarterback room, there's going to be a big battle. Not necessarily for the starting position, but for who can fill those roles that the Raiders need. Backup running back, receiving catch or a receiving option out of the backfield. I think Laube is going to take preseason by storm. I think by week 1 of the regular season, he's going to be a Raider favorite. I think people are going to be buying his jersey. There'll be parades in the streets, dogs and cats living together. I think it's going to be fantastic. So I'm just really, really excited what all these guys can show.
I will never allow cats to live with my dog. Okay, so I'm going to reiterate about Britton Brown and Sincere McCormick. It says a whole lot when you have made it through 2 seasons on the practice squad and nobody has snatched you up, signed you away as a free agent, whatever. They're practice squad guys. They're not going to make the 53-man roster. Our 53-man roster is going to include Zamir White, Alexander Madison, possibly Amir Abdullah, but he's going to lose his job to Dylan Lobby, and it's going to be great. All right, we are at a crossroads, you guys. I'm going to say this right now. Do we want to continue on? We still have the offensive line, the tackles, and the interior. Do we want to continue on through that? Do we want to call it? Revisit this in a couple weeks and start talking about that? Rookie camp will be over. Some questions will be answered. Or do we want to just push fucking through right now, get through the offense, and then figure out if we want to keep going with the defense? What do you guys think?
I would like to finish the offense this evening if possible and do the defense next time we come together.
Okay. What do you think, Raph?
I mean, it's going to be completely different at all. And I got to tell you for this one, this is going to be like a redemption. And no matter what happens about for this one, I mean, this completely is going to blow up the mind. Because I know the last season we're just getting like a little improvement, but I think the season is going to be like a redemption. We just see like how it's going to improve about for the tight end rooms, wide receiver rooms. The only thing we worry about for the quarterback, so it's going to be a little bit late, but it's going to be tough. But I think the whole defense and the offense, including for the wide receivers, running back, is going to be staggered full of powers. But I got to tell you for this one, this season, it's no turning back. We had to stand the focus on the future. And right now, let's get involved with all the defense and the offense and get it to the playoffs, because right now we just got to look Getsy, which is a great one, which is like we had to use it like 2 weapons and it got involved for the tight end. And then you had to accept like the truth about it. So right now, it is time to get involved, be aggressive, and of course, leadership is amateur to us, because right now it is no time to rest, because it's time to play, work hard, and of course, with intelligence and a leadership, we got to play hard, work hard, and of course, get involved with much aggressive.
I agree with you, but my quart of vodka is gone. So I will ask you again: should we sally forth? We call it now. Finish the offense. What do you think, Raph? Finish the offense. Let's finish the offense.
Yeah, let's finish the offense. And
Okay.
right now, let's
Rapper's fired up, ready to go. We're ready to go.
I mean,
All
let's
right.
get to party it up. And of course, don't believe it. I got right right now, because don't be surprised if our defense is gonna be like the top 5 of this season. Because right now, last season is gonna be like a top 10, but this time, I mean, for the offense, I will give it because right now it's gonna be like a top 5 on the defense.
Well,
I agree.
After Pierce took over last season, we were number 2 behind only the Vikings. I think top 5 is underselling the defense's potential.
Right, but it's a good target for the dart throw. We had Afakasi. Thanks for having me. Sorry about the headphone. Stop it with your microphone stuff. I shot back at him. No worries. You're a champion. Let's go.
Fine.
All right. So we will sally forth. Like I said, let's go to the offensive line. We'll start with the tackles. Dalton, Wagner, DJ, Glaze. Thayer Munford is a starter on the right-hand side. Andrew Coker, Jalen McKenzie. Andrews Pete, recent signing away from the New Orleans Saints. Colton Miller is the starter on the left-hand side. Tony Shepard says, refill. Full disclosure, it wasn't a quart of vodka. It was a quart cup filled with ice, vodka, a little bit of gin, a can of sparkling water, and a little bit of Saint Germain elderflower liqueur. It was delicious, and I'm out. But I'm fine. But I love your enthusiasm, Tony. All right, all right. We're looking at Thayer Munford on the right, Colton Miller on the left. Andrews Pete, good depth piece that we brought in. DJ Glaze, good depth piece. Possible high floor starter that we drafted. The rest of the guys you can you can give or take. I love the last name Coker. But we got our big guy 74, captain, pro bowler. Let's go. Tackles, we're looking good.
I'm not the biggest Thayer Munford fan in the world. I know he did pretty much hold his own when Colton Miller was out last year. I just think that there's a few things in this world that a football coach can't teach you, and how to get quicker feet is probably one of them as an offensive lineman.
Size is another.
Size is certainly another. Thayer Munford has the size. That's not the problem. Problem is that Thayer Munford is slow, like his shoes are in molasses. That Thayer Munford would probably be better suited to guard, but I think the Raiders have guard pretty much covered at this point. So I would look for Thayer Munford to not have his job for very much longer. I'm not sure DJ Glaze is that guy either, and Dalton Wagner hasn't really been able to show us anything. And for that reason, that's why I think Andrew Coker is also on my list of UDFAs that have a chance to make the team. He played, like Thayer Munford, he played on both the left and right side of his college career. Coker played at TCU. Coker's a big guy. He's got really good feet. He has good technique. Not sure why he wasn't drafted. He certainly did put together a pretty good body of work in college. I'm not sure if he's going to take over the starting job, but I think he has a decent shot to at least compete for a backup role. Munford, though, just doesn't – I mean, if you want to really have a good team, you need a strong right tackle, especially if you have a left-handed quarterback. Not that the Raiders do, but they potentially could in the future.
Sure.
I just think that's the weak link in the line, and I think your line is only as good as the weakest link, like a chain would be. I will say this about DJ Glaze. DJ Glaze was an incredibly good pass blocker in college. Had the 6th best overall PFF passing block grade. Number one, of course, was Jackson Powers Johnson. We got him as well, which is fantastic. DJ Glaze went to the Senior Bowl and was absolutely getting worked on the first couple of days there. And then the coaches took him aside and they coached him up, gave him a few pointers here and there. And for the last several days, and also in the Senior Bowl game itself, nobody got by DJ Glaze. He was handling everything they threw at him. So I think, if you're an offensive line coach at Maryland, there's a reason for that you're at that level. I think once this guy gets NFL coaching and is in an NFL training camp and goes against Max Crosby every freaking day of his life, I think he's going to improve like you won't even believe. I think DJ Glaze's ceiling is really, really high. But I'd like to see the monster Dalton Wagner come in and just blow everybody away. I just don't think Munford is the future at right tackle, and I'd like to see somebody usurp him for that.
Well, and I sort of agree, except for I think that DJ Glaze not only has a high ceiling, but his floor is high. He can jump Thayer Munford now.
I'd like to see somebody do it. If it's him, then God bless him.
Right. And the last time Andrews Pete had a good season was 2017. So he's 7 years removed from and this is according to
depth. He's depth, only depth.
This is according to Pro Football Focus. But if we're looking at it, and rookie camp starts tomorrow, we got training camp, we got everything going on. Thayer Munford starts the season. If DJ Glaze can hit his floor, start immediately, work on his game in run blocking, keep his pass protection, I like Colton Miller and DJ Glaze as our tackles. What do you think, Raph?
I mean, for the size for the offensive line, I mean, the more aggressive the Raiders are going to the offensive line, the easier to justify. Because obviously before the draft, I mean, there's more horrors that they can feel about. There won't be like as many drafted to complete the roster, but I think it's going to be like an open of the checkbook, but hypothetically, because they're definitely hitting off for those picks. I mean, they had a decent track for the defensive style, but also we just see like a lot of improvement. I mean, and we're more get sensitive about right now for the Raiders. I mean, there is like a more to the offensive tackle, also for this guard, but the offensive will just lead like an overhaul. But I think it is at this period it's gonna be like more needed. I mean, the last year we just played like the offensive sucking. I mean, last season between for the part of this time, I mean, Judgment Dynasty really screwed us for the defensive genius. But I think that it is supposedly had to go for this one because they were supposed to be the competition for the playoffs. Because it's gonna be like some biggest to feel about it, but there's like the pieces to put it up for this one. I mean, it makes like that there's no other that I go for the roster. I mean, the play was gonna be like really different, but I think that the man is brothers at the outline. I mean, Eleanor is gonna be like a great backup, but I mean, it is the online is much that I expected out for this year, but they're gonna punch it out for the weight this year, but still definitely gonna the upgrades regardless. But if they're gonna need like to bring it to studs instead of some bona fide starters, I mean, not at all because we have fantastic skill positions right now. I mean, it's gonna be like an average, but we just need how the pen is gonna be not very popular. It's not gonna be like average, but it's gonna be like a very good on pass pro. We had it at the code to the C has and we use just for the prior regime.
Well, one of the things that is heartening is that Illuminor, who as a person I absolutely love and respect, is now a starting offensive lineman for the New York Giants. So we don't have to worry about him anymore. We're definitely upgrading, and that's kind of what you want to see. You want to see your worst guys like Illuminor and Van Roten. Even though we love them, they're Raiders legends forever. They move on to bigger and better things. We're going to move on to bigger and better things, and that is going to be the interior line. So at guard, we have Dylan Parham and Jackson Powers Johnson listed as the starters. Now, I want to reiterate, these starters are listed according to ourlads.com. So when we go back to the tackles, Thayer Munford listed as the starter. That is the ascension according to our lads.
Uh-huh.
Our guards going into the season, Dylan Parham and Jackson Powers Johnson. I'm sorry his name is so small. I didn't see that. But he's a stud. Look at that silver helmet. Raider Damas, Oregon Ducks fan. Love the speckle on the uniform. Best uniforms in college football, even though I hate Oregon so much. All right, so we got Dylan Parham, Cody Whitehair, free agent signing, Ben Brown, Andre James, starting center now, Jordan Meredith, Jake. I almost wanted to say Jake Johansson, but I'm a fan of comedy. Jake Johanning, Clark Barrington, and Jordan Meredith rounding out the group.
Where is Will Putnam? Will Putnam should be on here.
I don't know. Let's talk about Dylan Parham. Dylan Parham, he was brought in as a combo guard center. He was moved off of center and put in the left guard position. Love him. Cody Whitehair is going to back him up. Ben Brown behind him, and Jackson Powers Johnson. Guard is typically what you look for in a run game, whereas tackle is what you look for as protection against the pass rushers. What does our interior O-line, our run game, look like to you, Raf?
I mean, for the interior, I mean, this is going to be like so impressive because if you see like the other guards on the roster, just like Jordan Meredith or apparently like the spirit of the corporation, I mean, if it wasn't like the biggest at a point into being more talented than particular, I don't know what's going to happen like now because those prospects, they'll feel the ill-intent mantra head with Antonio Pierce. They just want to like deserve margins to get up in the round to the later stances. And it's going to be like an intriguing options to get like a bolster group. And they're going to be like a rookie or veteran, but it's not a bad player. It's going to be intent for that route. I mean, can you imagine about that? I mean, the interior room is gonna be like a very full loaded, but we still had a lot more pressure because whenever they had to force like a total pressures against from another teams, I mean, easily has an easiest line because there is like the reason they had the lowest pay. And they can handle it for the guard or center. I mean, if we got bats, we got depth, we got bright rookies. We had amazing tools for the amazing offense. And I really think that Jackson Powers Johnson, I mean, beats out the Andre Jameson camp. I mean, there's gonna be one gonna play at guard, but it's gonna be hard to stick like a very mid center where he can be like a pro bowler for 10 years. But the center is gonna be like the easy alignment to high because there's a reason to be like the lowest paid. And if they want to see like a handle a guard or keep it more the same, I thought it's gonna be like the Parham. I mean, they're gonna see like at the half field, they're gonna do the training camp before they talk to see with the assessments. I mean, they're gonna put like an LL the effort on it. So there's going to be quite a few seasons, but I think it's going to be really great fine. But how did they get a Will Jettle about it? I mean, probably there's going to be like at a stand right now, but I think it's going to be an opportunity to eat it up.
I love that you're calling Pro Bowl for Jackson Powers Johnson. I'm looking at all of the depth charts that I can find, Tyler, and Raiders.com says that the depth chart is available at fall of 2024. I can't find your dude.
Well, he was a center for Clemson last year, and he was a UDFA signing by the Raiders. I don't think they've released him yet already.
He's not listed. Say the name again.
Will Putnam, Putnam.
Oh,
I mean, when I look at their at the UDFAs that they signed, he was on that list. I did that earlier today.
He's on. It looks like he's listed on ESPN. Okay. Okay. What's your take?
Well, my take is
Sorry.
My take is this: that the Raiders right now have three guys who can play center better than Andre James on the roster. And so I don't understand, as you clearly don't understand, having talked to you before about this, why Andre James is the starting center. I think Putnam can play better. I think Powers Johnson has proven he can be better. I think Dylan Parham could be a better center than
God damn it.
And yet, Andre James remains the starting center. So I don't know where they're going with this. I know that Andre James is one of Antonio Pierce's boys, and I know, that he's one of the team leaders and everything. But at the end of the day, talent has to win out over personality and loyalty and all that stuff.
Yes,
you have to go with your best five guys. At the end of the day, At the end of this training camp, if Andre James is still the starting center, I honestly will be a little bit surprised because there's just so much talent at the center position on this team right now. Besides him, not that he's terrible, he's serviceable, but we have some exceptional centers right now.
So, two things real quick, Tony. Think our players are better suited for the zone blocking scheme? Yes, absolutely. It's what we need to be doing. Secondly, I am fallible. Putnam was listed on our lads. Somehow, either he's underneath this. I didn't get him somehow. I don't know, but it's my fault. He should be listed here. Yeah, so I'm sorry, Mr. Putnam, another Clemson guy. But essentially what we have is Andre James looking at being usurped by other guys who are more capable. And one of the things that I've loved about this coaching staff as it came on is that since Josh McDaniels left, since John Gruden left, the new era of the Raiders coaching staff felt like they were sincere. Now, having said that, Tom Telesco and Antonio Perry called Andre James and said, "You are the center. It's your job." After Jackson Powers Johnson was drafted as a guard. I've loved the sincerity of this coaching staff, but I've hoped for talent to win. It would break my heart for the Raiders as an organization for Andre James to still be the center, even though he was told it's his job to lose.
Well, the Raiders are one of the teams that is most loyal to their former players as far as keeping them in touch with the organization. But at some point, you need to win, and that means being a meritocracy. And that means Andre James, it's the NFL, not for long if you're going to play like he does. You can't be sitting in your quarterback's lap every play.
And he gets pushed around. He's not strong. We've seen Jackson Powers Johnson work as a center at Oregon, and dude was doing combo blocks. He was like getting pass rushers, big nose guards, linebackers off of their spot. Like, he was doing everything and captaining the line. We have him listed as a guard. I would not be surprised at all if he became the starting center. Tony Shefford asking for a friend. My buddy is tired of seeing James getting his ass kicked. Damn it. Yes, Tony. My buddy is too. That buddy is me, myself. I'm so tired. Physicality, violence, ill intent. Let's fucking go. Raider goddamn nation.
Absolutely.
You guys, hour and 30 minutes. What a wonderful show.
It was fantastic.
It was
so good. And you know what? The best is yet to come.
Yeah.
Everybody, follow me at Big Boned FFB on Twitter. Raider Damas, tell them where you're from.
I'm on Twitter at Raider Damas, and during the season, you can catch my column at theraiderramble.com.
The best Raiders column ever. Just laughs. The great beyond speaking through Raider Damas and making me piss my pants with funny. Raph, where are you at?
All right, so this is right here, El Capitan Fucho. You can type it in on YouTube. Also, you can follow me on social media, on Twitter, Instagram. Also, you can follow me on Rumble. Everything about for the social media. And right now, I'm on my way to 1K subscribers. So what can I say about it? Thank you guys for having me on this special edition, breaking down for all these players, wide receiver room. I mean, this is going to be so great, I can tell you. It's not going to be like very easy at all. But right now, with the physicality, ill intent, and much aggressive, I guarantee that the Raiders going to be a top 5 defense.
Woo! And with that,
absolutely,
we will end this with 2 pieces of news. 1, we are moving to Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific time.
Yep.
11 o'clock Eastern time. Number 2, we will be back with the next episode, not next week, but the week following. I'm going camping at Fort Bragg. It's me and my lady. Sex and when you're camping is intense. And we're going to be at Fort Bragg McCarricker State Park, which is the greatest campground I've ever been to. Love to see you guys. Look for me in my Raiders hat and say what up if you're in Fort Bragg. But we will be back, not next week, but the following week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. And we are going to be covering the Raiders' top 5, top 2 defense. The whole depth chart, we'll be going over it again. Thanks to Tony Shefford for lighting up the comments. And salute, Rafa. Let's fucking go. And as I say every week, fuck the Broncos. See you guys later.
All right, have a good one.